What's going on, y'all? I'm Czar, and in this video, we'll be reviewing the Beyerdynamic M70 Pro X. Beyerdynamic, or is it Beyerdynamic? I'm sure y'all will correct me in the comments. So when I think of Beyerdynamic, I think of headphones, but this is one of two new microphones that Beyerdynamic launched in 2021, including two new headphones as part of their Pro X series. This one being a broadcast dynamic mic, and the other, the M90, being a studio condenser. And I've seen a lot of people review this mic that Beyerdynamic sent them the mic, but I purchased this mic from Sweetwater. All right, let's take a closer look. So here's the box the M70 Pro X comes in, and pretty good packaging here from Beyerdynamic. Got your shock mount here. And I like this sleeve or pouch that the mic comes in here. A little different from the typical, nylon, the zip pouch that we typically get. Microphone. Pouch is branded, got the Beyerdynamic name on it. And we take this out. We then got the manual here for both the M70 and the M90, all in one manual. And under that, you have the pop filter that comes included in it. I didn't take it out because I have another windscreen here that I've been using on the Rode Procaster that I'm just going to use with it. So I'm not going to bother with the pop filter here. Specs on this frequency response is 25 Hertz up to 18K. And with that being said, let's go ahead and check out what the M70X sounds like. One thing I noticed immediately from holding this is that it's very light. Compared to other broadcast mics like the Rode Procaster, the Shure SM7B, even the Rode Pod mic I have, the PreSonus PD70, they're really heavy, and this is just extremely lightweight. So I mentioned that this is lightweight, and I just want to show you. I've got it up on my boom arm here, which is the Rode, I think it's PSA is the model of the boom arm, but this mic is so light that I'm just having a little trouble holding down the stand. You can see it's not too big of a problem because I can still get it positioned where I want it, but I mean, other mics I put on this, like my Procaster, the weight of the mic just weighs it down. So this can be a good or bad thing. If you have a cheaper boom arm that you can't use heavy mics with, you can certainly use this mic with it because it's lightweight. But if you have a heavy duty boom arm, you might have problems with this mic just weighing the boom arm down to get it exactly where you want it because the mic is so light. So I'm now speaking into the M70 Pro X, going into the PreSonus Revelator IO24 at 50 dB of gain. And going back to the weight of this microphone, I was curious. I wanted to compare it to some other broadcast microphones I have, or popular broadcast mics as well, as far as the weight. So the M70 Pro X is 320 grams. Compared to other mics, the Rode Procaster is 1.53 pounds. The Rode Pod mic is 2.06 pounds. The PreSonus PD7 is 1.8 pounds. And the SM7B is 1.7 pounds. So you can see that other mics are significantly heavier than this one. But we're on Beyerdynamic's site here, and I'm going to be reading this paragraph here through the M70 Pro X. We're also going to listen to this through some different mic pre's as well. Starting off with just the interface mic pre, because I feel like that's how most people are going to use this, since it is meant for streaming and podcasting. But we're going to check this out through my Camden EC1 pre, which is a solid state pre, and we'll do the Neve 511, which has transformers in it, and we'll go ahead and do the Hilby Mo 67, which is a kind of an API style preamp, has input and output transformers on it. And all right, so let's read this paragraph here. All right, the Dynamic M70 Pro X broadcast microphone delivers the very best sound for streams and podcasts. Is an assertive speech optimized sound, a shock mounted capsule, a perfect attenuation of popping sounds as well as crafted design meet the requirements and needs of today's creators. Equipped with an XLR connector, the M70 Pro X is perfect choice for streamers, podcasters, and YouTubers. All right, so interestingly, it says here that it's, where is that line? Perfect attenuation of popping sounds. Definitely hearing some plosives here, so let's go ahead and test that. Again, I didn't hook up the pop filter, but we will put this windscreen on it. All right, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. All right, and here's with the windscreen on it now. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Much better, not hearing the plosives anymore. I'm sure the pop filter with it is fine, but you know, for all these style mics, I like these style windscreens that I can put over them. All right, and just to show some proximity effect, this is me now speaking closer to the mic, and I'll just read part of this paragraph again, and I guess we'll do it again without the windscreen as well, just to hear how the proximity effect is on it without the windscreen as well. We'll just do like the first few sentences here. The Dynamic M70 Pro X broadcast microphone delivers the very best sound for streams and podcasts. An assertive, speech-optimized sound, a shock-mounted capsule, perfect attenuation of popping sounds, as well as well-crafted design meet the requirements and needs of today's creators. All right, got the windscreen off, and I'm just getting closer to the mic for some proximity effect, and we'll read that one more time. The Dynamic M70 Pro X broadcast microphone delivers the very best sound for streams and podcasts. An assertive, speech-optimized sound, a shock-mounted capsule, perfect attenuation of popping sounds, as well-crafted design meet the requirements and needs of today's creators. All right, let's check this out through some different preamps now. Okay, so we're in Studio One, and we're going to listen to the M70 Pro X on 4 different mic pre's here. The first one is going to be the Camden EC1, which is a solid state pre. Then we got the PreSonus Quantum pre, which would be an interface pre. Rupert Neve 511, we're going to do with and without silk. And the last one will be the Mo 67, which I said is like an API style pre. Has input and output transformers in it. And then we'll discuss it. So let's start with, let's actually move the Quantum pre up. So let's start with the Quantum pre, and then we'll move on to the standalone pre's. This is me speaking into the Beyerdynamic M70 Pro X, going into the PreSonus Quantum pre at 50 dB of gain. This is me speaking into the Beyerdynamic M70 Pro X, going into the Camden EC1 mic pre at 57 dB of gain. This is me speaking into the Beyerdynamic M70 Pro X, going into the Rupert Neve Designs 511 without silk at 54 dB of gain. This is me speaking into the Beyerdynamic M70 Pro X, going into the Rupert Neve Designs 511 with silk at 100% at 54 dB of gain. This is me speaking into the Beyerdynamic M70 Pro X, going into the Hilby Mo 67 pre at 55 dB of gain. So between these, I like the Quantum and the EC1 the best. They just sounded the most balanced to me. The Neve 511 had too much low end for me, and the Mo 67 had too much high end to me. It just came off as too bright to me. And the silk on the 511 added high end as it does, so no surprises there. But as far as the most balanced, I think it was the EC1 and the Quantum pre. All right, what I want to do now is do a background noise test and see how the M70 Pro X does at rejecting background noise. So I'm going to turn this fan on behind me, and it's going to be at probably about 6 feet away from me, and we're going to turn up the gain and see how far we can turn this up before we really hear that fan noise and it gets to be a disturbance in the recording. Okay, got the fan on, and the fan is on high. We're on 45 dB of gain right now. We're just going to slowly turn this up. So now we're at 50 dB of gain on the Revelator IO24. Let's go up to 55. Okay, definitely starting to hear the fan now. We're at 55, and let's just go ahead up to 60, which is the highest this will go. Yeah, definitely hearing it at 60 there, but I would normally record it probably at about 50 with this. And I think that's good. I'm going to play these files back. Right now I'm just hearing them through my headphones, which is kind of hard to determine because I can obviously hear the fan outside of the headphones here. But let's play these files back and see what we got. So after listening back, this definitely passes the background noise test. At 50 dB of gain, I could hear the fan, but it wasn't disturbing my recording at all. So that's good. All right, let's get into some final thoughts on the M70 Pro X. So let's start with the look. I really like the look of this mic. Shout out to Beyerdynamic for making their own design. They didn't make a mic that looks like a SM7B or looks like a EVRE20 like we've seen some other companies do. So I like that they did their own design here, and I do like the look of this mic. Talking about the price. So this is $299 US, which thanks to Earthworks now, this makes this a mid-priced dynamic broadcast mic. It's not the $99, pod mic or PD70 from PreSonus that we've seen. I think Audio-Technica, recently released a $99 one. So they're not fighting at the bottom there for a broadcast mic. The $299 mid-range price puts it in the middle because now we've got Earthworks with the Ethos. That's $750. But this does come in lower than something like the SM7B or the EVRE20, which are just classic broadcast mics. So not the cheapest, not the most expensive on the top end. I think if you're looking at an SM7B or EVRE20, Beyerdynamic has created something that definitely puts it in that price range for you to consider it. Let's talk about the sound. So it took me a while to get used to the sound of this mic because I'm used to using a Rode Procaster, which is low-end heavy, and even though I still feel like this mic is a little on the brighter side, it does sound balanced enough to where I'm happy with the results that I'm getting, and I don't feel I have to do as much processing. I guess we'll really see once I record a podcast with it. Shameless plug, check out my podcast, the Faders Up podcast, which is a pro audio podcast where we discuss pro audio and beyond. But once I record a podcast with it, I'll really be able to tell, because I don't want to do as much post processing to my vocal, and with the Procaster I find that I have to do that. But I do feel like this is on the brighter side a little bit, and the high mids can get harsh, I feel like. So as far as the plosives, you definitely need a windscreen or pop filter with this. I appreciate Beyerdynamic including a pop filter, but with getting the mic positioned right with this light of a microphone on my boom arm and then having to fool with the pop filter, getting it in position, just sounds really frustrating. Sounds like a really frustrating experience that I don't even want to try to go through. So I appreciate the pop filter, but I would have more so appreciated just a windscreen to put over the mic and to help with the plosives, because you definitely need something with the plosives for this mic. Outside of that, yeah, it does sound balanced. I don't know at this point. I haven't made a decision if I'm going to keep this or not. It doesn't sound as smooth on the top end as I want. The clarity is there. The low end, I kind of want a little more low end than what I'm hearing, even though I feel like the Procaster is too much low end. There's just still a sound that I'm looking for that I don't know if this mic exactly does for me. So my next step is going to be to really compare this to the Rode Procaster, which is what I normally use, and then make a decision from there if I'm going to keep this or not. I will have a link in the description for this mic if you want to check it out. If you appreciate this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you want to continue to see content from me, then you know what to do. All right, any questions, comments, let me know, and I'll catch y'all next time. If you're interested in having me mix your song and my mastering engineer D. Lyles master it, check my link tree in this video description. From there, you can email me, you can visit my website, and check out mixes that I've done.